Joining us now to look at the preparation for this all-important event and other issues arising within the Governing All Progressives Congress is a RISE analyst, Professor Abiodun Adeniyi. Very warm welcome to Newsnight.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Christian.
I mean...
condolences, first of all,
yeah,
on the death, the dastardly act in Ondo State. Very unfortunate.
most unfortunate there, yeah. And looking at the APC, they've been dilly-dallying and the D-Day is finally here. What are the expectations?
Well, it's been a difficult day for APC in the last couple of days, and that is expected in a pre-convention period, especially for a big party, a huge party like APC, with a lot of interests conflicting, even conflicting. And of course, with nearly over 20 presidential aspirants, these aspirants are people with strong characters, strong pedigrees, and very confident of themselves, that they have the magic wand, so to say, or they have the solution to the myriad of problems that we have, So you expect this kind of tension. You expect that the processes leading to their convention, will be filled with anxiety. And that's why we have always made a point that we will need some kind of helicopter intervention, for the convention to be hitch-free at the end of the day, There could still be rancor, but I also want to trust in the savviness of the politicians, to manage things, ahead of the convention, because most of the time it's not actually the convention proper that determines the outcome of the result of the exercise. It's actually what happens before, at the level of through horse trading, through conceding, give and take, engagement, negotiation, consultations, and all such things, But we just have to hope that APC will get it right, largely, because they are an important party, one of the two biggest parties, and of course, they are getting it right is very important for our democracy, Christian and America.
And of course, they had to postpone the convention, by 6 days, owing to that INEC extension that was given at the last minute. But you know what? Speaking about horse trading and negotiations, yesterday we saw Mr. President, just fresh from arriving from Ghana, had a meeting with all aspirants. And of course, eventually there was that report of the northern governors deciding to say, you know what, the APC should allow the South produce the next candidate of the party. We've seen one person step down, speaking about Governor of Jigawa State, Badaru. Do we expect more ahead of the convention?
Well, it's very difficult to actually place a hand on what will transpire at any point, but of course, there will be talk. They will continue to talk to themselves, and do not forget that there are also some blocks, that have disagreed with that decision by some of the governors from the north, irrespective of the commendation, the decision received from other sections of the country, So it's a political process, It's going to be a conflation of interest, But maybe we should just we are bound to continue to talk about these things, really. But maybe in the next 24 hours, we're sure that the decision will come out of that convention, and what the decision will be at the doorstep, of Mr. President, Christian.
And taking, for the 11 northern governors to have ceded, the right, say, look, for equity, fair play, and justice, let the South produce the governor. It's going to throw a lot of political intrigues here. You have, the calibers of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Oshinbajo. Then when you go to the southeast, you have the governor of Ebonyi State, Umahi. You have Nwajuba, the former Minister of State, and the rest. Rotimi Amechi is there, from the south and the rest. So
Ken Nnamani as well.
Yeah,
Ken Nnamani
is also there. Jack Rich is also there. So
so when you look at an aggregation of all these and the rest, do you think a consensus can easily be reached, and would that be the best for the South generally?
Consensus, actually, it's a legitimate process. Sometimes I will say it helps to minimize tension, reduce anxiety. It helps us to it helps to also cut costs, and prevent delays and waste of time, So it has its own advantages. But of course, arguments have been canvassed around the fact that it can be undemocratic because we're in a democracy, and of course people have the right to vie for positions, So why raining on them, asking them to step down because of some more powerful interest? Well, our system is very fragile, still very fragile. It needs some of these interventions, no doubt, for reasons around stability, and because we're often still die-harded, we pursue things endlessly, So if there's a higher authority that we can listen to in the meantime, ahead of our developing the process, such that the ballot will become the ultimate decider, I don't think there's anything bad in it, Okay. But in the case of APC now, you can see complications. In the build-up to the two conventions, there were complications around zoning. But that seems to be resolved now. We are gradually resolving it, first with the PDP, and now, hopefully, with the APC. But what happens at the end of the day, when there's a final decision, maybe whether people are happy or unhappy with it, you just see people shaping in, trying to...
At the end of the day, the party is supreme.
Yeah, regarding it as a fait accompli, so that you see them moving on.
Professor Abiodun was still here, but let's take a quick video of the national chairman of the APC speaking about how prepared the party is to hold its special convention, and we'll come back and continue the conversation.
This convention this year is a bit different from the other conventions. It's different because it is the first transition committee, or transition convention rather, of our great party. The forthcoming convention will be expected routinely by our constitution to produce the flag bearer of our great party for contest for the presidential slot. With these few words, it is my privilege as the national chairman of our great party to declare the convention committee as announced, inaugurated.
We are all energized to ensure that we have a befitting and successful convention. So once again, Mr. Chairman and members of the National Working Committee, on behalf of all of us, we appreciate the honor done to us, and we want to give the commitment that we do our very, very best to ensure that our party produce a very successful convention.
Governor Atiku Bagudu of Kebbi State. Of course, I know he's won the ticket to head to the Senate.
Absolutely.
Professor Abiodun Adeniyi, let's come back to you. Of course, we're talking about the APC and, of course, looking ahead to the convention. Mr. President had a couple of meetings in the last few days. Some of the comments, of course, raised some controversies, if you want to put it that way. But from yesterday's meeting with the aspirants, what could you tell from the president's body language in terms of, what he had said before about picking a successor, and maybe even someone who all of them should support, even if he picks
I don't
the
think
person himself?
the president is actually, no matter how determined he is, I think this is a slightly difficult time for him as well, because he has said it very openly that he believes in many of those aspirants. They have very strong pedigrees. They've done well in their individual positioning, but at the same time, they all want to succeed him. So who is he going to back, for instance? And if he backs one person, and of course many others will feel aggrieved. So he's in a position to. He's in a difficult position, really, but I see him coming out of it, through talking to them some more, having some more meetings, and of course, because these aspirants would ordinarily want to be respectful of him, I also see them agreeing with him at the end of the day, But I think in their privacies, the aspirants, strong candidates, no doubt, qualified candidates, no doubt, they also believe that in their privacy that this thing may not be mine at the end of the day. Sometimes they have that feeling around them. So I think that part of them may get played up by the time they eventually realize that it's not going to be them, that it's not going to be, you know, A or B that will win it at the end of the day. So at the end of the day, I'm 23 aspirants, only one person will win it eventually.
Yeah, I
so
think you said it all. A lot of horse trading, political alignment here and there and the rest. Thanks so very much, Professor Abiodun Adeniyi, Arise News Analyst.